Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new episode of our series Rethink, Reconfigure, and Reinvent. No country has escaped the far reaching and non-linear impact of COVID 19 and the disruptions it has caused to the interconnected global economy. Businesses across the world try to survive, navigate through the crisis, and mitigate some of its consequences. How has Indian organizations and consequently the Indian economy fared on this front? What is it that Indian organizations need to do in the mid to long term to help the economy get back on track? And what is the outlook now, especially given the hope around the vaccine? To discuss some of these aspects, I have with me today Ronan Banerjee, partner and leader of our government sector, and also leading the economic advisory services. Ronan, welcome to the show. So, Ronan, to begin with, the high frequency indicators of economic activity seem to be very positive. Is demand really back, and are we on the path towards a positive growth trajectory?
So now when we talk about demand, yes, it has come back and come back strongly. We are very close to pre-pandemic levels. But what is being discussed is that should we be cautiously optimistic about this demand coming back? Given that we have seen very good numbers at the end of November and all the indicators were very close to the pre-pandemic levels, but at the end of December, we have started seeing a little bit of a mixed bag. We see that the GST numbers, collections are very high at about 115,000 crore, whereas the petroleum sales have slipped a bit. So what we need to understand is that whether this demand is sustainable, whether festive demand and pent-up demand created the high numbers, or the demand is going to be more sustainable going forward, given the contraction in the economy and the impact that it has had on the incomes of people.
So my next question to you is that should the government ride on this wave and make the recovery more resilient through greater stimulus through the budget?
Yes or no? It is very, very incumbent on the government to be pushing the pedal on the spending and pump prime the economy, because clearly the private sector investments are going to be muted given the additional capacity that they have, and the government needs to come to the rescue. But the constraining factor is the deficit. How much deficit can the government entail? So clearly it will be much higher than the 3.5% targets that the government has had in the past, but possibly a 2 percentage point higher deficit, and that gives approximately 4 trillion rupees in the hand of the government to stimulate the economy. And if an allocation, broad allocation of that is made, like 1 trillion going to the NREGA to support demand at the bottom of the pyramid, a 1 trillion of tax expenditures by way of giving additional money in the hands of the taxpayers who are in the lower end of the tax bracket, and another 1 trillion to the MSMEs by way of guaranteed credit, which is a support to the banks, and another 1 trillion to the bank recapitalization itself, and that will give the economy a big boost. So it's a 2 percentage point additional deficit at least that the government should target, and somewhere at around 5.5%. So Arnav, when you are talking to your clients, what's the sense you are getting, and what is your view on the medium-term strategy development by the companies, and how should they go about it, given that the vaccine rollout has now happened and the economy is slowly coming back on track?
Ranan, actually, that's quite an interesting question. When we are talking to our clients, yes, they're of course rethinking their strategy. They're trying to reconfigure their supply chain. And in many cases, they're trying to reinvent the business model. You know, some of these changes which we have seen this year, they're also trying to understand whether this change is transitionary or permanent. And if it is transitionary, what does that mean for them? Clients are also trying to look at the intermediary trends, and they're trying to extract as much efficiency as they can. They're also looking at portfolio optimization. Do I want to do everything? There are also opportunities of mergers and acquisitions coming out of that thought. The other part they're looking at is the fast changing geopolitics, and is there a need to reformat the supply chain? How can they do that? Again, a lot of these thoughts are all around how do I become fit for the future? So Ranen, another question for you. We heard about the economic growth coming back. So one of the thoughts which comes to my mind is that, as we embark on 2021, what could be some of the possible downsides which our clients and we also should be wary of?
So Arnav, when we think of downsides, I would put three of the downsides that we should be watchful of. One is the inflation rate. The second is the exchange rate. And the third is the yields on debt. Now, given the flush of liquidity that we have had globally, a lot of money has come into the domestic markets, and that has led to a little bit of a demand side inflation push. And we are seeing that the input costs are going up for many of the industries. We are seeing companies raising their prices. So inflation is something which we should be worried about. But the good thing is that with the good Kharif harvest, the food inflation would be cooled down to some extent, which was actually pushing the inflation number up. But while that comes down, the other components may go up. If the oil prices go up because of the demand uptick that happens post the vaccination drive, then that is something which is again going to create pressure on the inflation. The second one is on the exchange rate risk. So we know again flowing from the global liquidity and loose monetary policy globally, if there is any hint of a tightening, then the taper tantrum that we experienced at the time of global financial crisis, we will see it again, and this time more massively because the stimulus has been much larger, the monetary stimulus, and there could be a severe pressure on the exchange rate. And of course, the RBI is trying to cushion it through building up the forex reserves, which will come in handy if such taper tantrum is experienced. So that's the second one. Third is, of course, the amount of borrowing that the government is doing. That itself will put some pressure on the yields. While there are a lot of open market operations that are being done to keep the yields low, but if the yields go up, then it is going to have an issue for the government borrowing, as well as it will spill over to the cost of borrowing for the private sector. So I would say those are the key macroeconomic downsides that each company should be cognizant of and must be keeping watch out for.
Thanks, Ranen. That was really interesting and very informative as well. It infuses hope that the worst is probably behind us, and the Indian economy needs this kind of well thought out, inclusive and bold measures as it rethinks, reconfigures and reinvents itself to emerge stronger out of the crisis and be back on the trajectory towards becoming a US $5 trillion economy. Thank you, viewers. I hope you too enjoyed the episode. We would be back soon with yet another interesting conversation on maybe some other business issues that's keeping our decision makers awake. Until then, take care and stay safe.